Hey there, welcome to this episode, and today we are diving into envelopes, and we can access that menu by doing shift and pitch and speed, and you'll see envelope is written underneath, so it's nice and easy to find. Now I've got a sample loaded up here, and it's just a kind of tone sample with a harsh cutoff and a harsh ending. I've cut it deliberately, and you can see what happens as I play it. Pretty harsh at the beginning, it's harsh at the ending. Now that's how I kind of describe to beginners the attack and release, or the envelope mode is simply like a fade in and a fade out effect, because that's what it does really. Using Control 1, we can set an envelope, like a slope at the beginning of the sample, and as we do this, it will alter the fade in of that sample, so we no longer need like a very harsh beginning. We can have our sample slowly rise in volume, and I'll demonstrate that as we go along. And you can see how that will change and put a nice fade in. And of course it works the same way with the ending of the sample. We can use Control 3 here to do the same thing. And it depends, of course, how much of this envelope, this slope that we apply to this sample, how long that tail and that's like fading out effect will be. Now you can use both of them at the same time, of course, so we can, essentially make like a bit of a fade in, fade out here, like a pyramid shape. And then with hold here, we can kind of adjust the ending part of here. So let's say we want it to come in, but we actually want to end before the end of the sample. We want it to fade out a little bit earlier. We can use this hold to kind of shift along the sample and kind of fade out sooner than the very end of the sample. That makes sense. And we can reset these and just play around with them. Now these are particularly useful if you've chopped the sample and say it's got an annoying little click or a pop at the beginning or the end. You can come in and just apply a tiny little bit of this like attack, this like slope effect here. Just a very small amount of it will usually get rid of that click and that pop without, taking away too much of your sample. So that's what I use it for a lot. And the really cool thing here is that you can do this to multiple pads at the same time. And the way that you do that, if you say you had a bunch of samples all on one bank and you want to adjust all of them in the same bank at the same time, we can do remain here, hold it where it says to bank. And as we do this, if we had multiple samples here, it's going to change the envelope for all of those samples within that bank. The other way that you can do that here is if you have set a mute group, and you can watch my mute group videos to kind of understand that a little bit further. But if we have a mute group set, which only applies to certain samples within our group, we can hold down copy and do it to a mute group. So let's say there were only, the top 4 samples here were linked in one mute group. I can just affect the envelope of only those inside of that mute group. So really, really handy stuff. Hopefully that makes sense, and it explains the attack and release as fade in, fade out, and that's essentially your envelopes. Hope you've enjoyed it. I'll see you in the next one.